okay, we actually got that from Storyland. And Stony Morrill, before he passed away, sold us some wagons, and this was one of them, and we had it restored. Turns out that that vehicle was used down in Lynn, Mass, and that was Lydia Pinkham's.
Oh, for God's sake.
I'm serious. Her kids rode to school in this wagon because her kids were
the-
not allowed.
the bitters.
Correct.
Yes.
Vegetable compound and all that
Yes.
stuff. She was not. Her kids were not allowed to walk to school. They had to be driven to school. And so this wagon was just to
children.
take
Mom,
her
get in
kids
the
to school.
picture.
So that's what Stony Morrill and
my
some
God.
people who visited here from Lynn, Mass have told me that this is true. They, you can contact their historical society and you can find
In Lynn,
information
Mass.
in
Yep.
Lynn, Mass.
Oh, for God's sake.
So,
Thank you
Lydia
so
Pinkham's.
very much.
And I bet you
My
didn't know
God.
that.
No, I sure didn't. Thank you for this.
Oh, you're welcome.
Now,
That's a really neat piece.
I know it is. I'm.
You have to ask him about the Canadian one too, Mom.
Yeah, maybe you know something.
Oh,
about it.
they bought the one that was made by the McLaughlin Company.
Yes. Yep. Has the jump seat. Yep,
Right.
that's the one.
So. And this was restored by Sam Fisher down at the Byerstown Coach Shop in Kinzers, Pennsylvania. And when he subsequently is not restoring anymore, they're making cedar chest and that type of stuff.
What year was it last restored?
Had to be was that mid-90s? Late 90s? Probably late 90s or early 2000s.
Wow.
I can't remember exactly to tell you the truth.
I just, on wall after I bought it. Can't believe all this has happened to me on this day. Oh.
So that's a really nice piece.
Now, tell me about the Levi man. How did you come by him?
The Levi's
I thought,
cowboy?
you know what? I thought he was 6 feet tall.
I don't know who bought the Levi's.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Well, let me tell you. Congratulations.
Now we gotta how are we gonna remember
The
this?
Levi's
I'm
cowboy is
recording.
actually
All right.
called the Saddleman. It was a promotional piece that Levi's did back in the 1940s. See, it's 1940s. And what they did was they gave those out to their dealers. And my dad just happened to have worked at this clothing shop when he was a kid in Berlin. And so after he was no longer there, they had that piece in 1940 something, and when he started this in the 50s, they gave it to him because they still had it. So that piece has been sitting here in one of the buildings 60 years.
Oh my God.
I'll tell you, I researched that last year or the year before. One of those sold for $4,000 a couple of years ago.
Well, I gotta take good care of his stirrup because I don't need to lose it or break it anymore. Thank you.
The hearse came from the town of Sheffield, Vermont, and in the wintertime they would take the wheels off and put on the sleds. And that I believe my brother Mike and my mother are the ones that stripped all the old paint off of that and repaired it years ago.
It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
What you gonna do with a hearse? Hi,
What's your name?
my name is Tom Brady. I'm the youngest of the Brady kids. My parents started Six Gun City back in 1957. I was born. I'm sorry, Cut.
No,
stop.
that's okay. We can edit. We can edit that.
They did start in 1957. I was born slightly earlier than that in 1956, so I grew up here. This wagon here has a Studebaker undercarriage, and it was used to go from St. Johnsbury, Vermont to Portland, Maine every week, back and forth with supplies.
Did you get to drive it?
No. No. And you can see there's all kinds of wagons and sleighs, and some of these have some
Significance.
interesting, correct.
Bring me to the ones that are.
This one is really neat. This is a little racing buggy
My
that
mom-
we got from a barn over in Lancaster, and George Carter had this in cast white, and it was up in their attic. That was actually made in Washington, D.C. on the corner of 15th and E Street, which is where I believe the Commerce Department sits now.
Wow. Wow.
And as So we walked down through.
Where'd you get the hearse
The
from?
hearse came from the town of Whitefield.
Okay.
Some of these are Canadian sleighs. When they had the iron on the side like that, it was because some of them were all Quebec sleighs, as they would call them, so that they didn't hit the buildings on the narrow streets.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
This little buggy over here was made by the McLaughlin Company in Oshawa, Ontario. And after they stopped making buggies, they went into making Buick cars.
Wow. Wow.
This is a
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Six Gun City. This morning for this
we brought that
auction,
down the
we
middle
want
of
to thank
Jefferson
everyone for
about
coming out.
30 years ago.
We ask if you do get a buyer's number,
it's a
you must
peddler's
register
wagon.
for buyer's number. We do have the office here. The office
And
the
one
Surrey
line.
Racing
we do want to
which
start-
was right there?
Yes, it is. Yes.
No, that's okay. It's funny, my mom adores that one and the little.
Tell your mom to get a bidder's number.
She has one.
Does she?
Oh yeah.
This was used, tell her to buy this one.
Yeah.
This was used on the Androscoggin River by the Brown family and for racing in the wintertime.
I wonder how many races they won with that, because that's a fast sleigh. What's your name?
Dennis,
Where are you from?
Connecticut.
What are you doing up here in New Hampshire?
Being a dummy, going to an auction and buying stuff.